Flynn, and thank you so much, brother, for receiving the call, man. I greatly appreciate you, brother.
Oh, man, absolutely. It's an absolute honor to be with you, brother. Thank you for the invitation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And the late notice as well, right? Like right on the cusp, brother.
All good. All
Yes,
good. I'm
sir.
here.
Yes, sir. So, we're wrapping up, brother. This is the Myrtle Beach Mastermind, B2B, business to brand. We are, this is a transformation. We just came from the beach, brother. We just came from the beach. Yeah, we just put the whole resort. We basically put the whole state on notice, brother.
Let's go. Let's go.
So these phenomenal ladies and leaders behind me are going back, right? We're going to close out at Ruth Chris. Then they got to go back to their neighborhood. They got to depart together, but separate and be in the same place that they came from. And I need them to anchor it in. I need them to anchor it in, right? So there's two things that I really need to help them with, and I want you to help me help them, right? Because like singular, we are powerful, but together we are unstoppable.
Yeah.
Please understand it. Singular, we are powerful, but together we are unstoppable. So I wanted to bring another powerhouse, one of my super friends, to help me, to join hands with me in combat and help me anchor it in for you how important marketing is, and marketing your business consistently. Being proud of yourself, not being ashamed of yourself, and being able to use this tool as a publishing mechanism, as a way to level the playing field, to market yourself and your business. Number one. And then number two, to help me emphasize and drive home the importance of community. Because we just took a walk on the beach, brother, and they just gave us, they just split like the Red Sea. Everything just parted like the Red Sea, brother. They got out of our way. It seemed like there was nobody else on the resort. Like we took the resort for ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm telling them that's the kind of power that you have when you unite. And there's an ability to separate from that power, but still have it with you as long as you revisit it time to time.
Yeah.
Recurring.
Yeah.
Right. So I
good.
mean, I don't want to take anything more from you, brother, because I know what you got is phenomenal. We don't rehearse either. This is all organic. Touched him at the last moment, told him to give you whatever is on his heart. Brother, I'm gonna leave you alone and just let you speak to the people, brother. Thank you so much again.
Oh,
Guys,
yeah,
give
no.
up Anthony Flynn real quick before he begins.
All right. Yes, sir. Well, man, thanks so much for having me again.
Yes, sir.
Shaan, it's an honor to join you, man. I'm always enthusiastic when I have an opportunity to spend time with you. Shaan gives me energy and life, and I know he's doing the same thing for you all. So make sure that you take that energy and life, and as he said, make sure that when you go back to your various areas, make sure you're ready to go back and execute everything that he shared for you. As he said, my name is Anthony Flynn, and the quick drop is I have a company. Well, first of all, let me say my pride and joy. I always have to lead with my pride and joy, which is my family. I'm not a guy who talks about it. I'm a guy who actually lives it out. My wife and my kids, my wife and I have been together for 25 years total, 20 years of marriage. We have a beautiful son who is a rising sophomore at The Ohio State University. And we have a daughter who's a rising junior in high school. And so, man, my family is everything to me. And so as Shaan stated, in fact, we were celebrating my wife's birthday this weekend. So part of the short notice of timing was me getting back to Shaan, letting him know to confirm the time. So as soon as I'm off with you all, I'm jumping right back into family matters. But very quickly, as he said, you all, I have a company called Amazing CEO. I started this company in October of 2017. And just to give you perspective, we're now running, it's a 7-figure business, right? It was basically built from my laptop. I mean, I had some in-person meetings, of course, and of course I have a track record and a history that I had to develop in order to get to a place where I could actually have the momentum to launch this kind of brand. But ultimately, I started the company in 2017 because over the course of all these years, I've been walking side by side with CEOs, with key executives, professional athletes, entertainers, literally some of the most influential people in the entire world. And so that formal mission is to provide, is to increase productivity, profitability, and sustainability for CEOs and key executives. And so literally I spend time in the trenches doing executive coaching as well as consulting. And I do some speaking, but I know my tip of the arrow. My tip of the arrow is spending time with high capacity CEOs and key executives, one-on-one, mostly in the trenches with them, helping them to develop themselves and their businesses. So Shaan mentioned that I had the privilege of spending some one-on-one time with with Eric Thomas, and he reached out to me back in December of 2018, and he said, "Hey, man, you know, I'm really looking to take my game to the next level. I'm ready to accelerate things, and so I would love it if you would allow me to tell the world you're my coach." And I said, "Yeah, sure. Let me think about it." Right, and of course, in 2019, we're blessed to say that just as a result of E and I spending some time together, he was able to increase his income by over 70%. And so if you were to trace back some of the podcasts or even some of the environments we've spoken in, you'll hear E talk about how one of his dreams and aspirations was to actually buy a second home, so live bi-coastal. And so we helped him accomplish that dream. Once I sat down with him and I heard him and understood what his dreams were, boom, we put the plan in place and away we go. And so the reason all of that is important is because, going back to Shaan, he asked me to talk about two things. So what if nobody ever knew who I was? So here I am, this guy. In fact, here's what's powerful. I think I only saw one hand. Only one of you know who I am, right? And so the reason this is so important is because back in 2017, when I decided to launch the company, I knew that I wanted to target CEOs and key executives. And I knew I had all these skills and I had all this acumen and I had all this history with working with all these high net worth celebrities and executives, et cetera, but nobody knew who I was. So from that point, I knew I had to take the platform that I knew most of my potential clients actually lived on. So I developed a brand, you know, I got the logo done and got the website done and all of that. But then, as Shaan stated, I had to start putting myself out there in the market. And so, yeah, website, but I hired my first social media expert who began helping me place the brand where I needed the brand to be. And that's an important point. Hear me out. Place the brand where you need the brand to be. Why is that relevant?
Yeah, guys. Place the brand where you need the brand to be at.
Yep, catch that. Because my clients don't hang out on Instagram mostly. My clients don't hang out on TikTok mostly. So here's what's crazy, you all. My biggest client is a Japanese company where the CEO does not even speak English. So every time I meet with the CEO, we have an interpreter online. And this company is the largest company in the world that does what they do. They're publicly traded. They're not traded on a U.S. exchange. They're traded on the Nikkei, which is an Asian exchange. And man, they found me through my media work. I had gone to meet the company several years back, but through my constant presence on LinkedIn, the interpreter had been following me and remembered me when the new CEO stepped in, and boom, they reached out and away we go. Also, I was just in Atlanta 2 weeks ago now, it wasn't last week, but I had the Atlanta Hawks. I also signed Coca-Cola. In both cases, my social media presence on LinkedIn, particularly for me, is what galvanized the energy behind them bringing me in. So I went into Atlanta to see three clients, three really of my biggest clients, and all three of those actually were following me on LinkedIn. So I can't tell you how important it is to invest in your social media and your media presence. It's so critical because you could be a diamond in the rough. Hey, you all had no idea who I am. Then Shaan introduces me as ET's coach. You all had no idea of that. You didn't know I was working with NFL and the Atlanta Hawks, because I'm placing my brand where I say that respectfully. I don't say, it's not like I'm not open to interacting with other potential clients. I'm simply saying that my deliberation and my intentionality is to be where the types of clients are that I want to actually work with. And so what's been cool is I've been able to create that pathway and walk in that pathway. The exact targets I was after are the targets that are now coming to me to sign me to sign me as their coach and as their consultant. So,
Anthony.
yep.
How long did it take you? We know you had 7 figures. You said you started in 2017. Sometimes people get discouraged when they drop something, they start to brand themselves, but it doesn't pop immediately. It doesn't pop in 6 months. It doesn't pop in 18 months, and they get burnt out. So I want you to just give the people an idea of how long it took for you to gain traction.
Yeah. So I would say this had, let me say that I was blessed within the first 90 days. I gained some traction. I was doing 6 figures in the first 90 days because I'd already been doing a lot of the leg work. However, let me say in the first 6 months, actually. So it was within the first 90 days so I launched the brand in October of 17, within the first 90 days of 18. So my website went up in October of 17, but I didn't really hit the ground running until January. So I had kind of a 90-day plan. So I should say more 6 months from launch. The website went up like October 1st, 6 months or so from launch, I was at a 6-figure mark. But Shaan, I would say honestly, man, it's just this year that I really hit that huge 7-figure stride.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely.
Yeah, it was this year. So yeah, catch that, everybody.
19, 20, 21, 22, 4 years. Remember I said 7 times 7 times 7? 4 years. Now, this is very important, super critical for us. And you're just give an inkling, right? Because I want them to have the background and the root story real quick.
Yep.
Education, experience, and expertise. What is your education? What is your experience and your expertise? And why is it so important that you stay in that sweet spot?
Yep. So I have a background, my education, a business major, also a master's degree. I actually specifically have a seminary degree. So it combines business and essentially developing people, right? And so fast forward, so you said education, experience. So with those degrees, I spent time in Fortune 500 companies where I had some, pretty high ratings pretty quickly out of college, as well as I've spent the last, I had spent the last 15 years prior to launching the company actually doing a lot of people development, community-oriented, ministry-oriented, nonprofit, philanthropic-oriented work. I'd written a couple of books, et cetera. So I spent a lot of time honing in the education and the experience, the craft itself. And then what was that third E, Shaan?
Expertise.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And then the expertise. So let me tell you when the epiphany hit me on the expertise. So all those years that I've been, about 15 years of grinding. I mean, I'm talking about grinding. I got flown out to Southern California, just north of Santa Barbara. And it was at a ranch of a good friend of mine who was a Fortune 200 CEO. And he had 100 white male CEOs in the room, all these wealthy guys from Harvard and Princeton and all this stuff, you name it, very wealthy group of guys. And I spoke to that audience, and I'm the only person of color in the whole, probably in the town practically at that time.
That's right. You only one in the state. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, and look, it was game changing because after I spoke, man, these guys came up to me. They're putting their heads on my shoulders in tears, literally. And I said, boom, I got something. That was the epiphany that woke me up and realized that my education, experience, and the other E, I keep forgetting it, Shaan. Expertise. That perfect storm of those 3 E's coming together happened after about 15 years of grinding.
After 15 years, thank you so much. Because everybody, it's like if it doesn't happen overnight, I'm going. Right?
Yeah.
They join something, then they say, well, when does the ROI come? And I always tell people, I said the ROI is based on the SOI. So your return on investment comes based on the speed of implementation.